He comes in, and he said she's sitting there in a little roller chair up by the desk and says, "How you doing?" "I'm just so frustrated." Goes off. And he says, "Wow, you know what? If I were you, I'd feel the same way." He says she spins around in a little roller chair and goes, "Thank you so much." We were both not great at this. When the other one was having an emotion that they were struggling with, especially if they're sad or frustrated, we would try to fix each other.
This is us. Totally us. And I do it to my kids. I did it last week to my daughter-in-law. She's telling me this sad thing. And then I, put Jesus in it. Like, well, here's what Jesus wants you to know. That's not what she needed. That's true. But that empathy part.
Oh, it is. And the thing that really took me back was when someone's emotional, they're functioning out of the emotional part of their brain, and the logical part of their brain has gone offline. So you're knocking on a door that's closed. And a lot of times when people are emotional, they're not very logical. They talk in extremes, or they talk in, this is never going to get better. And so what we want to do is we want to rescue them by helping them to see more logical. But the craziest thing, and this happened throughout the research where I just have these moments going, you've got to be kidding me. The things that cool someone's emotional brain, the thing that brings people to the logical part of their brain is not logic, it's empathy. When you're sitting across from someone who's empathetic, they look at you and they just acknowledge, wow, I can tell you're really frustrated with the kids right now. That's what cools the emotional part of their brain and brings them to the logic part. It's empathy. Jesus was so good at this. Oh, he was so good at this. We all learned the verse, because we wanted to get stickers in Bible school, Jesus wept. But when you think about Jesus making that decision, I'm thinking, if I'm Jesus and I'm coming to a situation where I'm about to raise the person from the dead who all these people are crying about, I walk in 4 days late, they're all weeping, gnashing of teeth, going, "Where were you?" I'd be like, "Hey, not another tear. I'm about to fix this in grand fashion." And what does he do? He cries with them. He weeps with them. Says Jesus wept. And I just think, what a model. What a model that in those moments, just be with me. Just be with me. And that's all Nancy was wanting from me in those moments when she's talking about her coworkers. Oh, that's really frustrating. This guy was taking me to the airport after I had talked about this whole thing of empathy. And one of the things I'll say is, empathy is not about seeing things from our point of view. It's about seeing things from our spouse's point of view.
That's good.
And so one of the phrases we tell couples all the time to use is, if I were you, I'd feel the same way. If I were you, I'd feel the same way. My wife is very, very neat and tidy. And so when our kids, make a mess in the kitchen, if I were me, I wouldn't care. If I were her, I would care. So if I were you, I'd feel the same way. So I'm sharing this from on stage, and this guy's taking me back to the airport after I'm done, and he says, "That stuff really works." He said, "Every year my wife is over a conference, and she gets stressed out every time, but she does such a great job." So I was like, "Honey, there's no need to stress out because you're so good at this. You always crush it. Everybody tells you they celebrate you afterwards. You need to learn, that you are so good at this." And he said it would frustrate her beyond belief. And he comes in, and he said she's sitting there in a little roller chair up by the desk and says, he goes, "How you doing?" "I'm just so frustrated." Goes off. And he says, "Wow, you know what? If I were you, I'd feel the same way." He says she spins around in a little roller chair and goes, "Thank you so much." But it's just those moments of and it's so much easier. Empathy is so much
So is
easier.
empathy something you can develop?
Oh, I was terrible at it.
We are terrible. Both of us are terrible at it.
Well, thanks for sharing that with the world, honey.
Oh,
You're supposed to say, if I were you, I'd be terrible at it.
oh, we were so terrible. And the other phrase we use now is, "That's understandable."
That's a good one.
Because a lot of times I think we'll withhold empathy because we think we're signing off on an emotion we don't agree with.
See, that's what it is. I was thinking, why don't we? And because we think Jesus is bigger, but it doesn't help to be all Jesus-y in that moment. Because as you said, Jesus enters into their pain.